Okay, it's 2 days after the marathon, and I'm going to do a little recap for myself to remember how I felt about this come next marathon when I'm asking myself why I do this stuff. Here's the summary: 26.37 miles, 3:28:07, 7:53 pace. That's for the 2025 Austin Marathon. I am super happy with that result. My goal was to get under 3:30, and that was a huge, very ambitious goal for me. My previous best time was 3:39, and that was last year in Austin. And that was like a huge PR for me also. I had done the entire Jack Daniels training program leading up to this for, I think it was 18 weeks, got through every single workout. Maybe skipped like one workout, but got through all the workouts. I was hitting almost all of the paces. So I was hopeful, but not 100% sure that I would be able to hit this 3:30 goal. Turns out I did it, and I did quite a bit better. Like I remember I said here that I beat the race prediction algorithm because my Garmin was saying that I was tracking towards like 3:31:30 or something like that based on all my workouts. So that was giving me a little bit of worries, but I felt like, if I tapered correctly and if I did all the things right, I could probably do it. And it was a good day. We had 37 degrees temperature, feels like 22 with wind speed 14.7. Like the wind was crazy that day. There was so many parts where it was like gusting really hard and it felt like I was standing still because I was just running into the wind. So there was actually one point where the wind blew my hat off and I had to like run back to go pick it up, and that cost me at least like 3 seconds right there. So if it wasn't for the wind, yeah, it would have been, I think, quite a bit faster. Right now, I'm super happy with this result, but it was also very hard. Like this was the best I could have possibly hoped for as far as finishing all the training, dedicating myself completely to that training, and then having good weather, relatively good weather on the day of. Like, yeah, I could do an easier marathon, something that's a little bit flatter and on a less windy day with the same temperature. I'm not sure how much that would help. I wonder if there's like a calculator that would say, if you got this in Austin, what would you get in some other marathons? I wonder if it really makes a huge difference because, when I think about the next goal, it would be something like 3:20, less than 3:20 or less than 3:15. And that's a huge drop in pace. That's like probably 7:20s average pace. And when I was doing 7:20s in the workouts leading up to this marathon, I could only hold that for like 3 or 4 miles. 7:25 was my threshold pace, and it was a struggle. Some of those were the hardest workouts where it was like 2 miles threshold, 2 minutes easy, and then 2 miles threshold, 2 minutes easy, 2 miles threshold. I don't think I ever accomplished that without stopping to walk. So I don't think I ever finished that 6 mile block at threshold pace, 7:25 pace. That was one of the reasons why I was worried. But of course, that's like with tired legs and everything. And there were a couple miles where I did seven. Well, okay, well, these are like super downhill miles that I did 7:25s. So thinking really hard now about what my next goal is going to be. But for now, I'm just going to go through what I was thinking when I ran this. So I found this video that's kind of just like a Google Earth video of the marathon course. So maybe I'll just watch it and talk through what I was thinking or what I remember from each part of the race, and then we can go back and look at the splits as well over here. So my plan for this race was most importantly right at the beginning to go very slow. The pace I needed to hit for 3:30 was 8:01 minutes per mile. So my plan originally was to hit between like 8:30 and 9 on the first 3 miles because I knew it was a steep uphill. And then you come right back down that hill, and I would hit like 7:30s on the way down and then kind of even it out. So after 6 or 7 miles, I'd be right on pace for my 8-minute average. So yeah, I actually still came out pretty hot here, 8:17, 8:14. I remember seeing that and going, oh, that was quite a bit faster than I expected. But of course, it's the beginning of the marathon. I have not run in like a week. My legs felt really good. It was cold. There was tons of people around. And I felt like I was going slow because I started at the 3:30 pacer and everybody started passing me, right? Because they were all going for that 8 minute pace, but I was trying to hold back, and so there was tons of people passing me. I think I was down to like the 3:45 pacer at that point, and so we are running up this hill in Congress, which actually it was not as steep as I remember it. There was actually a couple of flat spots where I picked up some speed, and yeah, and you can see like here the third mile I did 7:49. This I thought this was also going to be pretty hilly. I remember around mile 2.5, I saw Jeff Cunningham, and he's one of the coaches that comes up on YouTube a lot. And I remember hearing his voice behind me, and I was like, "There's no way. Am I like hallucinating already at mile 2 in the marathon?" And then he just like ran by me, and I was like, "Oh no, no, that's him." So I went up and said hi, and and he was running the half, pacing somebody, so that was cool to see. And then they were going way faster than me, so they just passed me. But yeah, it was going really well. One of the things I did really good this time that I'm happy about is I actually got to start near the front, which usually I'm getting there at the very last minute because I don't want to be cold waiting outside. This year, I live like 2 blocks from the start line. So um, I just walked up literally like right before the race started, and it was awesome. So I had perfect timing. I didn't have to worry about traffic or anything like that. I knew exactly where to go and how to get into the front. So I was actually one of the earlier people to line up, even though I left my house at like 6:46 or something, and the race started at 7. So that was kind of cool. And then yeah, so then we turn around and come back down. I don't remember too much about this. It kind of all went as planned. I was going really fast on the downhills, passing a bunch of people who passed me originally. So that felt good. That was all part of the plan. 7:49, 7:30. Yeah, this was kind of right where I wanted to be. Mile 7, let's see, mile 7. Oh my God, that part was so fun right here. Hold on, let me go back. Mile 7 is like when you cross back into downtown Austin, and there were so many people cheering and waiting around that area. That was super cool because that's like a little bit later in the day. People are waking up. It's not quite as cold as right at the beginning. So, and a ton of people just moved from the start over to there to cheer. So that was one of the most fun parts. And that's another spot where you have to kind of like pace yourself and remember not to get too excited. And then you go all the way through downtown here to mile 8. Still tons of people along the road there. 7 and 8, you're running by these fields. And then, oh yeah, and then this is a fun part too, where you go down by the track. Not too many people here. This is kind of a quiet section. And I always know that there is, oh, for one, there's speed bumps in the road, which is super annoying. So you have to kind of run between the speed bumps. But then you come up this hill towards Juiceland, and it's just like so steep. That's like one of the first steep hills after the initial climb. I didn't realize that this was a pretty steep hill as well. Looking at the elevation chart, going all the way down to Mozart's, there's pretty consistent climb going up there. I guess it's not. Oh, this is in meters. Okay, so it is. Yeah, it's pretty steep going all the way up there. I remember at this point, the thing that I was thinking was I was trying to get as much carbs in as possible. So normally in my long runs, I'll do like 3 or 4 gels, but my plan was to do between 6 to 8 during this run, which means every 20, 25, 30 minutes I have to do one. And I was getting a little bit behind. So I took one right there at about mile 9. Then they had the free gel station right there at like 9.1 or something like that. So I did another one. And I remember that the time on my watch was around like 1:16, an hour 16 in. So I think at that point I had done three, maybe that was my fourth gel. Um, and my stomach got really messed up. I like from that point on, I was trying not to throw up the whole time. So I was fighting back, like the gag reflex just from having too much sugar, which is like I don't eat that much sugar normally. So I don't know if I should somehow train my stomach to eat more sugar or if I should just try something different next time. Because yeah, I don't like eating sugar. It's not super healthy for you anyways. It's just on these races that I try to pound as much as I can. Yeah, it didn't work out too well for me. So between 116 at 116, I stopped doing gels until I felt better. Like around 145 or something is when my stomach finally stopped hurting. And I tried to do another one, and the same thing happened again. It just messed me up again. So then I stopped for another long while. And also, every time I would do the electrolyte drinks, that would make me feel like, I guess, bloated, gassy, or something like that too. So it was tough. I think one of the things I like about the marathon is you have all these things that you have to juggle at the same time while you're running. You have to get as much hydration and carbs in as you can without going overboard and making yourself sick. So it's a balance, and you're trying to like push it right on the edge. Same thing with your pace. You're trying to run as fast as you can without burning yourself out. And I really like that because it makes it more multidimensional than like a 5K where it's just, like I was telling my friend, the 5K is the worst distance because it's just like how much pain can you tolerate for 20 minutes or whatever it is. Whereas the marathon, it's not just your pain tolerance, it's like all the things. Here we go. We're getting close to the halfway point, I think. We're like right here at 11 now. I was doing super good. I was so happy with these splits. This is the best I've ever done at pacing myself as far as like my goal was 8 minutes, and each of these miles was so close. Like, besides this first thing where I did something different, I wanted to just settle in and run 8-minute miles for like the next 10 to 15 miles. Like between 7 and 20 is the hardest for me mentally because you just want to get through them while holding your pace and using as little energy as possible so you don't cramp up and die later on. So yeah, between 7, 8, 9, 10, I was so happy that we were feeling good. Everything, my legs were hurting so bad. And but the other thing is my heart rate was super low here. I remember looking at my watch. Every time I looked down, it was like 140s for heart rate. And I was expecting to be around like 160s. So that was weird to me. I like in my mind, I thought my watch must be broken again or something. Um, but maybe it was because it was super cold. Maybe it was because I had rested a lot before. Who knows? So I had super low heart rate, but I was a little bit worried because my legs were hurting from this pace and from the hills and stuff. Even already, like I could tell it was going to be a rough day if my legs are hurting at like mile 6 or 7 out of 26. So here we go. Where are we at? We're at the northmost part of the race now, coming around mile 15. Yeah, I remember here, like, it's always after the half marathon splits at around mile 12 something. It splits and then it becomes really desolate, and there's nobody around. It's only the marathoners left, which is maybe like 1/3 of the number of people that we had before, and everything gets really spaced out. The wind becomes so much tougher because there's not people blocking it for you, and the crowds are less. And yeah, this part is just a grind through the whole top. And I was just thinking the whole time, like, just give me like 10 good miles at 8 minutes, 10 good miles between like 12 to, or actually, it's probably between like 6 to 16. I wanted to get those solid miles in. And then it's like 16 to 20, I needed to do like four more. Every time I did one, I'd be like, I would like add one more. I'd be like, okay, 10 more from here. And then I'd hit like mile 10. Okay, 10 more good ones. Mile 11. Okay, 10 more good ones. And then like, I think probably 12 or 13, I started counting down in my head, I was thinking like, if I can just get to mile 24, and be on pace at that point, then the momentum and the crowds and everything will carry me through the last like 2.5 or whatever miles. So yeah, my in my head, most of the time I was just shooting for like mile 24, I'll be good. And also in the back of my head the whole time was I cramped up around mile 19 or 20 in a few other races. So I knew I was pushing the pace. I knew I was doing like all I could possibly do. So it was always in the back of my head, like, oh, just don't cramp, just make it through. If you can make it to mile 24 without cramping, you can. If you start cramping at mile 24, you can just power through and finish it. Northmost point. At least it's pretty flat around here. There are a couple like big climbs that you have to do. And I remember it actually there were more hills than I remember. I remember that first big hill, the Juice Land one, and like a couple others like going under that underpass where you have to climb afterwards. And but I had forgot about a lot of them. So there was like two, maybe three hills that I forgot about that surprised me this time. And especially the last one. Oh my God, the last one. I was dying at the very end there. So that was tough. Grinding through these ones and hoping that I didn't feel the cramps. Every few minutes I was like checking myself, like, do I feel like I'm cramping? I remember my right hamstring, like the whole back of my leg was hurting really bad, but it didn't feel like it was cramping. It just felt like it was really tired and working really hard. So I was like, it might cramp if I push too hard here. So that one, it ended up being really great. I didn't cramp up, but I was holding back a bit because I didn't really trust myself to make it all the way through the whole 26 miles without cramping. So um, it was hard for me to say, like, when I'm still hitting my paces and I was still on track, I didn't want to risk going a little bit faster because I might blow up and lose the whole thing. So I played it pretty conservative through all of these, 755s. I was so happy when I was hitting 755s and then trying to take advantage of the downhills. And here we are. We're about to get to the east side, I think. Let's see if I can match these up. We are right about here. Yeah, I liked these little neighborhoods, and um, there's a lot of people just standing outside their houses watching, and that was super fun. The like for me, the least fun part is those long stretches where it's just going down the same road for a long time. This part was pretty fun. Here we're at mile 21. Yeah, this is where I started to worry that I might cramp up soon, but you know, it all worked out pretty well. This is nice and flat area. Oh, I guess it was downhill a bit here too, so that helped. 19, 20, 21 were all downhill. And then I remember when you hit 20, let's see, 23, 22, 23, somewhere around there, you make this turn and start heading back towards downtown. We're going to make it here on the graphic in a little bit. And then right when you turn back towards downtown, you can kind of see all the tall buildings and the skyline and everything. And it's really motivating, like, oh my God, the finish line is right there. I know where it is. It's right, between those two buildings. And then I realized, like, okay, but it's still only 22 and a half miles in. So I still have like 4 more miles left. So I just have to keep holding on and like getting these 8-minute miles. I knew at this point I was like somewhere between like a minute and a half to 2 minutes ahead of the pace. So I was super excited about that, and trying to do math in my head while running is always a, like a horrible idea. But I was just running down this part is a super long stretch of like probably almost 2.5 miles of straight down this one street. But there was a ton of people out here watching. This is Cesar Chavez Street. It's hard to see from the top view, but yeah, there was tons of people out here cheering. Um, Somebody gave away some like shots of pickle juice at some point around here. That was awesome. I think that probably saved me. And then, yeah, you turn up here and you start going through the east side, and then you cross I-35. And at this point, it's like, man, every mile. So I had hit that 24-mile point, and I was like, okay, you made it. You just have to let the momentum carry you to the end. And I remember thinking like, okay, the reality is I can't just like let it carry me to the end. This is still so painful, and 2.25 miles is a long time you can't just relax. You still have to hit your paces, you know. Like worst case, if I run nines for the last two, I'll still be I'll still be able to hit the goal, but it was a struggle. There was a yeah. I know like most of this mental stuff is just like fooling yourself into doing more than you think you can. So yeah, so I hit 24. I remember thinking, oh my God, it's so far. Just do one more good one. And then 24 was done. I hit 25. I was like, okay, 25, one more good one, and then you can relax. And then 26, I was like, oh my God, we're almost there. One more good one. And I was like, I was trying to relax at 26, but it just felt like such a long mile. Like like miles 25 and 26 felt so long. I mean, technically they were 8:01. Those were technically my slowest miles, but besides the first two. But you know, like they just felt so long. Okay, and then I remember coming up this street, and I was thinking in my head like, I know at some point you make a left turn, you see the Capitol on your side, and then you make another left turn on Congress, and the finish line is right there. So I thought it was around Ninth Street, but then I saw Ninth Street and people were still running. So I was like, oh my God. And at this point, we're about to hit 26 miles. It's like right at the end. And I'm just trying to hold on to the end. It's like, okay, maybe it's 10th Street. We get to 10th Street. Nope, nobody's turning. Okay, maybe it's 11th Street. Get to 11th Street. Okay, yes, everybody's turning on 11th Street. That's the end is like just around the corner there. And then you turn onto 11th Street, and it's just this like massive hill right at the end. So, um, yeah, you go up this huge hill right to the end, and then I nearly died on this. Like, I seriously thought about walking the rest of it. I was like, do I have time to just walk it out? Because it was so steep and pretty long for that hill to be right at the end. But then you finally get to the corner, come around the corner, and then it's like a nice downhill into the finish line. And there's no time to slow down, so you just go for it. And I'm pretty sure like 10 people passed me on that last few steps, but I was so happy that I made it in under 3:30. It was awesome. At the end, like some guy came up to me and he was like, oh man, I was with you the whole time, but then at mile 16, I had to go to the bathroom. I like took a huge poop, and I was like, "Who are you? Why are you saying this to me? I don't even know you." Like I guess he was right behind me, so he recognized me, but I had never seen him before, and he felt the need to explain why um, he fell behind, I guess, at mile 17. So yeah, and then at the end, Brad came to watch me finish, and he was there. And then we went and got some snacks and beers, and listened to like a couple a couple musics. We listened to a couple musics, and then and then my legs started cramping up just from standing there. So I was like, okay, we should probably get going before I collapse. And oh my God, again, I was so happy that I lived right next to the start/finish line, because it took me forever to walk from where we ended to my apartment was like 2 blocks away. And I was like just barely like limping through the street. And I'm pretty sure like there was so much traffic and people like waiting for me to cross the street because I was walking so slow. I was just like, I don't care. I'm gonna make it home. There's no other way. I just have to walk 2 more blocks. Um, got home, laid in a bathtub for like an hour, felt like an hour, and just waited for my legs to stop hurting. And then, oh my God, my stomach was still hurting so bad. And that just stayed. I think the beer probably didn't help, but finally I got up and ate some chips or something, and then I made ramen, and I think that helped a little bit. But oh my God, next time for sure, I have to figure out how, like, I probably just ate too much because I thought that I would just load up on as much carbs as I possibly could, including like before the race. Before runs, I usually don't eat anything, or if anything, I'll have like one of those energy like electrolyte sugar drinks, whatever, and a cookie. This time I had the cookie. I had the like not a cookie, but like what's it called? The honey stingers, half a bagel and a banana, I think. Yeah, and then like some electrolyte drinks and stuff. Dude, I remember the the gels in my pocket froze. Like they were so hard to drink when I went to drink them because it was like so cold outside. They were just like frozen solid. So they were not very jelly. Oh, I did the ketones also. I haven't been using them very much, but I figured, I try to pull out all the stops and can't hurt to have something extra. So I did that. I did 2 ounces before and 2 ounces during the race. That also is tough on the stomach, but maybe it helped. Those, I was somewhere around here, probably around, I was going down that hill, so 17 point something, when I finally remembered that I had that. uh, it was a bit of a mess. But man, I'm so happy with the pacing. Like, this is the best I've ever paced a marathon before. Yeah, I'm just so proud of myself. One, for mostly for finishing all the workouts. Like, that is definitely way harder than finishing the marathon itself. Just getting up every single day and running, even when you don't want to, even when it's like, oh, I could just skip this workout, it's no big deal, but still doing it anyway. That's, I think, mentally way harder than gutting it through one hard day of the marathon. Even though this is like a 3 hour 30 minute workout, it's the hardest one for sure. But I'm realizing like at first when I was not in very good shape, the marathon itself was more of a mental challenge, like make sure that you can just mentally get through the pain of running the whole thing. I would say now that I'm a little bit better shape, it's definitely like more about how much preparation did you do beforehand. How good your fitness is coming into the marathon really determines what your outcome is going to be. And then the mental part of it and how much effort you can muster for that one day is maybe 20% of, the total outcome. Most of it is how much work you put in previously. So I feel very happy about it. And yeah, I would love to do another one, like an easier course or a faster course, just to see how much difference that makes. But I can't imagine that it would get me, it definitely wouldn't get me to 3:30, that's for sure. But or to 3 hours, that's for sure. But I could pick up a couple minutes by doing that, and then by doing another training block, see how far I can push it. I Dude, I just remember at the beginning of this, I made a video on Strava that I watched recently where the very first workout, it was like I think it was like an 8 mile workout total with like 4 miles at marathon pace or something like that. And I was just dying. I was lying on the ground on the dock afterwards, just like about to pass out because I just barely made it through this workout, and it wasn't even that hard. Uh, I remember people were like checking on me as they walked by, like, "Are you okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm good, just resting." And yeah, today I could easily do that. So I don't know how far out of reach the like 7:25 pace is for me, because if I'm gonna go on from here, yeah, I could pick up a few minutes here and there for sure. For sure, there's things I could have done better, and for sure, like doing another build up at faster paces with more miles per week. Like I definitely would want to go up to like 60 miles a week and see if my body could handle that. But yeah, I don't know that a 3 hour marathon is in the cards for me. It's like 6:53, so it's like almost exactly a minute faster than my pace here. And yeah, I don't know if that's something that I want to take on, because that is just it's going to be at least like 2 years, right? To get there. And that means like three or four of these training blocks back to back, and maybe, yeah, maybe taking off 10 minutes at a time if I'm really lucky and everything goes really well. Because this one was the first time I actually did it. I took off 11 minutes, and oh, I wanted to look at um, this is so cool. I love looking at these matched runs. So this was this year, 7:53 minutes per mile pace, relative effort 384. This is last year, 8:18. So like 20 something seconds faster, but the relative effort was like 700. This was insane. I did so much, less work, I guess. It's based on the heart rate. So my heart rate was so much lower this time while going faster, which is really encouraging. I like this one to me was like a miracle. I don't know how I did this. How do you output a 737 relative effort? Like I'll show you can I get to that run? Um, the heart rates when I look at this were crazy. Um, let's see. Yeah, 176 average, and like see this like 180s, 170s the whole way. It was freaking nuts. Let's see, heart rate. Yeah, 35, 42% over 184. It was just like just it was nuts. I couldn't believe it when I saw that those heart rates. So yeah, super excited for this lower relative effort. I don't think I could get that much lower. Maybe I should be at a higher relative effort. You know, maybe next time I could push it a little bit harder, right? If I wasn't scared of cramping up, I could maybe have run my pace a couple seconds faster. But yeah, I think I should go for it. I don't know. It's so much work. It is so much work. And like, if I got under 3 hours, would that be the end? Or would I just be like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next, like, 250? Oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. Maybe I just take it easy with like the 3 hour marathon being my goal, but not like on a timeline, not anytime soon. So if I say I just want to I want to run 60 miles a week and I want to do those speed workouts and see where that takes me over the next couple years. Then revisit it at some point and say, like, okay, maybe I will make a push for 3 hour once I know my body can handle it. I'm so happy right now. And like, there's also other things that I want to do in general. So it's a hard thing to say I'm just going to stop this and go a totally different direction because I have put so much time and effort into getting better at running. And I'm just to the point where I'm like not awful at it. And I'm like, if I try, if I keep this up, then I could be decent and like pretty respectable. I mean, like obviously compared to normal people just finishing the marathon, like I felt like this year in 2023, this time I was very happy um, that I could just finish. That was my first marathon. I just finished. Obviously, I was right over 4 hours, so I wanted to just get that under 4 hour mark, which I did. Um, and then I could have stopped there and been perfectly happy, right? Um, to say that I did a marathon under 4 hours, that's super good compared to an average person. But for me, it was like, okay, well, I think I just had already signed up for this one, and so I just ran it, and I had no expectation of running 3:39 on that one, right? Like with my heart rate being in the 180s the whole time. I don't think I had any business running that speed, but there it is. And then once I hit that, I was like, oh, 3:30 is within reach. And then it ended up taking me a year to get there, but I did it. Now I'm not sure what's possible or what's realistic in the next year. Because to be honest, like if it's the same rate of improvement, then three, I don't know, 18 or 315 or something like that next year. It's not that inspiring of a goal. You know, that's like 315. Why didn't you just go a little bit faster and get under three? So yeah, that feels like a slippery slope. Like if I really go hard for one more year, then I'm really committing to at least two more, probably three more years of going really hard to get down under three. And that's only if everything goes well, if I don't get injured, if I don't lose interest. If I don't... But hey, I mean, yeah, so I think the best thing is just to enjoy it, enjoy the process. And I really hate threshold runs. I really do. So if there's a way that I can train without doing those, then I'll be super happy. I'm I'm pretty happy with like the up to dude, the 3 minute runs are so hard too. I hate those 3 minute intervals. Oh my God. Those are like the 800 meters or 1,000 meters. Those ones. Oh my God, those are so painful. Um, but yeah, I can at least do those and hit all the paces on those ones. If I can just do those, the intervals and the easy runs, and not so much on the thresholds. But I am pretty motivated by how well it went and how like it didn't feel like luck. You know, this time felt like luck. Okay. And then this time felt like I just did the work and the work paid off. One thing that I didn't do last year is train through the summer. So if I train through the summer, it's possible that I'll make an even bigger improvement because I definitely like lost a little bit of fitness and it took me a few weeks to build back up to where I was running like the full like 40 miles a week. So if I just hold on to that through the summer somehow, like I'm not going to do it in Austin. That's bonkers. Maybe if I move somewhere for the summer and keep running, move somewhere just to run there and not, I don't know. You know, running doesn't consume my entire life, but it is a lot of energy, and especially if I'm really pushing myself to get up to higher and higher mileage. Yeah, I don't know. I think for now, I have no runs planned. I have the 10K in April, but I don't care about my time on that one. I think I would like to do more cycling. I might actually get an actual bike and do outdoor cycling this year. And I would like to see how it feels to run 60 miles a week easy and see if that's something um, that I can work up to. So I think for the next few weeks, I will just try to hit around 50 miles in the 50s, let's say over 50 miles in the 50s, plus a couple cycling classes a week and see how that feels. And then without doing the workouts, um, and then see if I can yeah, see if I get excited about doing any races around like May or June. We'll see. That's all for now.